Welcome to our presentation of Guaranty Bank and Trust. We are Group 11. My name is Anna Grimmett.
I'm Abigail Gonzalez.
I'm Dana Greer.
And Latasha Hawk.
And we are excited to present what we've learned about this bank over the last 6 weeks. Our group has been really great and we've worked really well together, and we hope that you enjoy this presentation. So to start off with, we're going to start with an exercise, and what I want you to do is to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think about a time when you as a consumer had a great experience. Think about what was said to you, think about how you felt that day, and think about what set that apart from just ordinary experiences. Okay, so now open your eyes, and my guess is that it probably had something to do with you were actually treated like you mattered. So much in the industry today, in banking and really any industry, it's all about economies of scale and how many consumers can we get and how much revenue. And a lot of times people can get missed in that. They just become a number. And that's something that we really saw in Guaranty Bank and Trust that mattered to them, that consumers, that their customers were taken care of. From the very beginning, it was obvious that this was a big deal to the company. This sentiment seeped out of the words of Danny Muskrat, who's the CIO. He graciously gave us many hours of his time to discuss the bank and his functions in that. He's an essential part of the bank. He oversees the corporate operations, totaling 60 employees. He also serves on the executive team for the bank, and he shared oversight with us into the operating functions and the $50 million budget that the bank has. Before we delve too much into all the functions of the bank, I think we should start with how it all began. And GBT had humble beginnings. The bank's been around for over 100 years. It was founded in 1913 in a little bitty town called Mount Pleasant, Texas, which it is what it sounds like. It's a quaint town where everybody knows everybody. So that customer relations, that's where that was born for this company. They now have 31 branches with $2.3 billion in assets with 450 employees. They have a wide portfolio of services. And in the next slide, you can see where all the branches are located. Mount Pleasant, Texas is in the east part of the state. And so you can see that there's a lot of branches around that area to meet the consumer demand. The mission statement for Guaranty Bank and Trust is a professional team of friendly, experienced, and dedicated employees committed to providing the best personalized financial services and community leadership to the people we serve. We provide value to our shareholders, customers, employees, and communities by exceeding expectations and ensuring quality results as a community bank. So having a sturdy foundation has led to a very strategic and strong growth for GBT. Currently, the bank is the 41st biggest bank in Texas, and Texas has a lot of banks. And because of their unique culture, they were listed as one of Texas Monthly's best companies to work for, which was a huge honor for the company. Remember, it has that small town feel, but it does have some corporate muscle, and that they're really expanding their market share. Competition for this bank is just like in any other banking industry. There is a lot of competition. The industry is split up into two markets, a large market that of course involves the banks that we know globally and nationally, Chase Bank, Bank of America. And then the small market are some smaller banks which are more probably true competitors for GBT, which are Pilgrim Bank and Cypress Bank, where they have that smaller hometown feel. So Abigail is going to take us into the next section and lead us through the process description and give us a demonstration of opening an account with GBT.
The business process that we are going to further detail is new account opening. We are going to discuss 4 different sections within the new account opening process, and those are information gathering and confirmations, account setup, account funding, and additional services and assistance. Traditionally, when an individual goes to a branch to open an account, they must go through a customer service representative and this would be the part of the interview section for the personal banker. So the personal banker would ask them questions as they see fit to see and interpret what kind of an account the customer would want. They would also ask them information to be able to confirm their identity. So they would ask them for their social security, a valid identification, their full names, and all those kinds of information to be able to proceed into opening an account. This would be part of the information gathering section of this slide. The next topic would be the product offering. This would be where the customer service representative would give them information on the accounts that they have to offer, and they would give them the features to see which one fits them best and which one they would want the most. They also give them options on other services they can offer, which is the online banking system, additional debit cards they could ask for, and checks to be ordered, and those kinds of additional services. So execution of paperwork, account agreements require disclosures, adding an approved customer, information is entered into the core system, new account established for GBT. Next would be the account funding of the business process. So whenever you open an account, whether it's online or in person, you need to have a minimum deposit to be able to open an account. This process would vary for a customer depending on what kind of product they bring us to open the account. For example, if they were to bring cash to open an account process, the customer service representative would take the money from the customer. They would go to the teller line and receive a receipt of the payment that was submitted, which is the minimum deposit, and the customer would receive a receipt for this. However, if they were to submit a check instead of cash, there would be a delay on this process due to the fact that funds wouldn't be submitted to the account until the next day. GBT has additional services and assistance to offer their customers. They have loans, they have checks, they have certificates of deposits, they have credit cards, debit cards, and online banking services for their customers. Next, we will go ahead and discuss their online account opening. GBT has a lot of advancements in the last few years with respect to their account opening process. The key reason for this would be the technology that has been implemented into their company. GBT uses an application software called Andera to give individuals their opportunity to open savings and checkings accounts online without the need of having them come to a local branch to open their account. This process includes eligibility and confirmation, identity confirmation, account setup, funding, and approval. When it comes to actually opening an account online, it could be very similar to actually opening an account in person for a customer, except for the fact that they don't have a representative actually asking their questions, and they would have to figure everything out for themselves. Now we're going to go ahead and proceed and showing a little demonstration on how to open an account with GBT using Andera. So if I were to want to open an account, say a checking account, I would go to their website and I would check the kind of accounts they have. Let's say I decide to choose this account. Notice that it tells you must be 18 to open an account. It tells you what states they have, what kind of identification and information you're going to need to open the account, and it specifies that this process would take about 10 minutes. When it comes to this kind of section, it's very hard for a customer that doesn't know any information on how to open an account, how to decide what to answer in each of these questions. However, let's say for my example that I selected this question, I would not be able to proceed to the next section without actually answering all the previous questions as well. In this section, I just answer the fact that I'm a new customer to GBT. I select the account that I had previously mentioned I would be opening the account with, and they give you additional options for you to select, for example, the overdraft protection and checks. In this area, notice that they had previously given us a 10-minute approximately, but some of these files are very extensive and way more time consuming than the 10 minutes that they had given us. So we're entering step 4 of opening an account. However, there's plenty of steps left and we are nowhere close to that. And due to time constraints, we won't proceed with further opening this account, but you can duly note that it is going to take much more time than an actual 10 minutes. So now we're going to actually discuss the cost comparison with opening an account online and opening one in person. So as you can see, the approximate amount to open an account in person would take $30 per account to open it. This is considering a $15 rate for an employee and considering an hour and a half of personal banker and an hour and a half of account setup. With respect to an opening account online, it would cost GBT $15. That includes software costs and account setup. So as you can tell, this would be a big reason why GBT wants to continue this process of opening accounts and really expand on it because of the cost savings that they would have with opening accounts online rather than having them in person. In this slide, you can see the difference on how many accounts were opened in person and online. You can note that there's not many accounts that are opened online. The highest they've had is 31 on January of 2019. However, their smallest one was right the month before, on December of 2018. So there's not a big consistency, and there's a lot of areas where they can further develop to try to expand this market way more than what it is right now. Their percentage of how many accounts are opened online ranges between 1% to less than 4% on their total account openings. So there's much growth where they can come from and further developed for their future. The next section we'll be discussing is lessons learned.
Hello. When GPT adopted Andera, it was an adequate system. However, with the growth of technology, Andera is now a legacy product. One of the biggest lessons learned by GPT was the need for a mobile banking platform. And this is to expand bank beyond the brick and mortar walls of the bank and to reach out to a different customer base and bring them in. 8.2% of the U.S. population is unbanked, meaning they do not have a banking or checking or savings account. And 1 in 5 American households are actually what we call underbanked, meaning they do not utilize the bank to the fullest capacity. Instead, they are using other alternatives, more non-traditional alternatives like a pawn shop. And unfortunately, they're paying a lot of fees by using these non-traditional outlets. So it could be beneficial to both the bank and those customers to form a relationship. I have included a graph here from a survey from 2011 of 7 U.S. states that shows that more adults actually have cell phones than have bank accounts. So as you can see, there's a lot of room for growth here. Early with Andera, GBT realized that they would have early drops in customers opening up an account, and they didn't capture that email, so they were unable to reach out to the customer and try to draw them back in. So GBT was able to correct that and capture the email early on. In Danny Muskrat's video interview, he mentioned how Andera is a cookie cutter menu, which just doesn't cut it. It needs to be more tailored to be based on customer responses. Also, there's a need for improved screen flow as well as simplified steps with a process bar so you can actually see where you are in opening the account. And there's also a need for a program that supports regulatory compliance. When GBT needs to get some information, it's almost impossible to get it from Andera. And when they are able to get it, it takes a very long time. So that's a very big need for the future to come. So in closing, you can see probably the biggest lesson learned is the need for a mobile banking platform. We're all on the go, fast living society, and we are doing everything on our phones, and banking needs to be included in that with the correct technology. Next, we're going to talk about future state. Thank you.
So what is the future state of Guaranty Bank and Trust? Is it to become a major player in the banking industry? Is it to expand their local and regional geographical reach? Is it to attract younger customers? Or is it to gain a market share among small and large businesses? The answer to all of the above is a resounding yes. So how can they accomplish it? Through optimization of their desktop and obtaining mobile application. As my peer Abigail just demonstrated, their process for online account opening is antiquated, it's tedious, it's it's dense with material. We suggest that they have a more interactive website, a website with color and visual interest. Use program reasoning to reduce the customer effort to complete an application. Just as Abigail stated, applicant has to complete all of the questions before they can get to the core of an application. For today's tech-savvy, time-conscious generation, that would be a no-go. GT could risk losing a lot of potential businesses. They integrate third-party applications with their core systems. Improving integration of the delivery system is one of the top 10 trends for the banking industry in 2019. But GBT's main issue, again, is their legacy platform, Andera. Andera only captures the information from the customer, but it does not integrate it into GBT's core system, which requires that employees manually enter the information. This increases the time for processing, application approvals, rate of human error, and redundancy of work for employees. As we know, this is costly and it is so 1980. GBT could take advantage of application program interfaces to really increase their efficiency and decrease costs. This will help them to have a common language between Andera and their core system, eliminating the need for the manual entry. GBT does have options. So the first option is they could work on developing an in-house program to replace Andera. Now, there are pros and cons. A pro would be it ensure proper and efficient functionality and integration with their core system, but a con is that it could be quite costly. So then we share with GBT, what about another third-party software program that would come in and customize their program to fit their core financial program? Well, there's no guarantee for that because we could still run into the same problems that we have with Andera. So our final and ultimate recommendation is replacing Andera with a more complete and robust system that is scalable to meet the long-term company plans. We have 3 recommendations from the top commercial banking software programs: FPS Gold, Rubicon, and eBank. Well, all of the banks are compliant. Only FPS Gold has the mobile app and all of the other functions that GBT is looking for. So as we continue to make recommendations for their continued success to take advantage of the enormous possibilities, we suggest that GBT invest in capturing big data to ensure and respond to the trends and opportunities and threats that are in the banking industry, that they incorporate artificial intelligence to help with fraud detection, use chatbots for increased customer service experience. It is important that GBT find the right mix of delivering a next-generation banking experience while maintaining fundamental values of a community experience, retaining and growing their customer base, and increasing their revenue and profits for long-term success in the marketplace. This has been a presentation by Team 11 of Guaranty Bank and Trust Company. Thank you.